Hello Saints and Scholars. In this video we're going to talk about how to avoid plagiarism by properly citing our sources, and we're going to talk about what plagiarism is, how we can avoid it, and we're going to provide lots of resources for you so you can find success with this. So first off, what is plagiarism? Plagiarism is when a writer uses the words or work of others without giving credit to the original author. Now, in other words, a student who plagiarizes is cheating. This is such a sensitive topic, but that both the church and the university have created videos with kind reminders of why we should avoid plagiarism and other forms of academic dishonesty. I love the quote by James E. Faust in the Mormon Message. The tremendous push to achieve in secular learning sometimes tempts us to compromise that which is more important. Cheating in school is a form of self-deception. Honesty is a principle, and we have our moral agency to determine how we will apply this principle. We have the agency to make choices, but ultimately we will be accountable to each choice we make. In the semesters that I've taught here at BYU Idaho in our English classes, unfortunately I have seen students who compromise their integrity, who self-deceive themselves thinking that they're not cheating or that perhaps they won't get caught. It breaks my heart to see this, and this is the purpose of this video, to really lay out how we can avoid plagiarism and this type of compromise and self-deception. Now, let's be a little bit more specific. When it comes to plagiarism, there's many different levels. Sometimes it's intentional and sometimes it's unintentional. Intentional plagiarism, such dishonest works in this class, will result in a failure of the paper, and which often also results in failure of the class. So let's go ahead and look at this very carefully so that we know exactly how to avoid intentional plagiarism. Intentional plagiarism is when the writer buys a paper from a paper mill, submits someone else's work as his own, copies chunks of text from sources with obvious intention of not citing the source or being detected. They fabricate data or make up evidence, and generally they just intend to deceive. Here at BYU Idaho, more often we'll see the misuse of sources or common mistakes made by new researchers, and this is when the writer copies passages directly from a source without using quotation marks. Maybe they'll use the in-text citation, but they don't use the quotation marks or the block indentation. Sometimes our new writers have a difficult time paraphrasing and they follow too close to the original source, and this is called patch writing. Sometimes students also fail to indicate the sources of some of their ideas and data because they're unsure of what needs to be cited or because of poor note-taking. In general as well, sometimes they just misunderstand the conventions for using sources in academic writing. So we're not going to see any of this unintentional plagiarism because as a writer you know that it is your responsibility to use quotations if you quote directly from a source. You also know that if you're going to paraphrase, you need to divert away from the original language and then of course still cite the ideas of that original author. And then you're also going to be great at taking your notes so that you do not lose track of those sources. And the purpose of video, again, as we continue in this video, we'll make sure that you understand the conventions for using sources. As a result of this video and of all your hard work, you're going to be a writer who ethically uses sources. You're going to write your paper either entirely in your own words, or if you use exact quotations, you will use quotation marks or block indentation where it's required. You're also going to indicate all uses of other sources through attribution. In other words, you're going to have in-text citation as well as an end-of-paper list of your works cited sources. So there'll be documentation within the text every time you use something from somebody else, and that will match the information at the end of the text in the works cited section. Now, sometimes this might seem easier said than done, but at the same time you need to know that there are many things you can do to avoid plagiarism at every stage of the writing process. I've helped you start this process by informing you of our policy on plagiarism. At the note-taking stage of your writing process, you're going to want to make sure you create a bibliography entry for every source. And then when you copy passages into your notes, make sure you copy them in word for word and enclose them in quotation marks. When you enter summaries or paraphrases, avoid patch writing, which means you're not going to follow too closely to the original author's words. And of course, you're going to make sure that you make notes of things that are your informal notes versus your exploratory notes, or notes. So the informal notes are notes about the ideas and the quotes from other people, or your exploratory notes, your own ideas. Make sure you distinguish between what is theirs and what is yours. During the writing of your draft, except for exact quotations, you're going to write the paper entirely in your own words. You're going to indicate all quotes with quotation marks, and if you make any changes, you'll use ellipses and brackets to make the changes to fit your own grammar. Again, in the drafting stage, as you summarize or paraphrase, avoid the patch writing. Don't ever cut and paste a web passage directly into your draft. Be sure to put quotation marks around it. Inside your text, be sure to use attributive tags or parenthetical citations identifying all your sources, and then be sure to list all your sources in the works cited at the end of your paper. Be sure that you cite with attributive tags again with all quotations, paraphrases, summaries, and any other references to other sources. And you'll also use in-text citations with visuals, media, graphs, anything else that you bring into your paper. So how will you know how to cite these things in text and at the end of text? Well, there's some rule books. There's a rule book for MLA, APA, CMS, and even in many more different styles for citations. These rule books are created because they help readers find sources, they help researchers appropriately build on the knowledge of the body of academic knowledge, and they help papers follow consistent formats, making the papers more readable and, of course, more credible. So is this something you really need to learn? When we move into our persuasive essay, it reads on the rubric that the position or solution is supported by reasons, examples, facts, case studies, personal experience, and other types of evidence. So, of course, bringing in these other sources is going to strengthen your argument. If you do choose to pull from outside sources, make sure you make it very clear who said those things and where you got the information. And this information will be cited both in text and on the final page or on the works cited page. Now, we use MLA in English 106. If you do plan to matriculate, you'll use APA, a different style of citation for Foundations of English 101 and Foundations of English 201. And now, of course, depending on what major you're going into, you may continue to use MLA, or you may use APA, or you may use another citation style such as CMS, the Chicago Manual of Style. And this is a great comparison chart. But the thing that you need to know about these citations is once you learn how to follow the rules, it's very easy to adapt to a new set of rules. And there's many resources out there. Of course, we have resources that define and help you know how to avoid plagiarism. There's two great resources on the Purdue OWL. One is called Is It Plagiarism Yet? And the other is titled Safe Practices. There's also some fabulous formatting and styling guides. Personally, I prefer the Purdue OWL again because they are written for students in mind. Of course, you can go directly to MLA or APA.org where you can get specific information directly from the experts. There's also many videos. Our BYU Idaho Writing Center has a video on plagiarism and another video showing how to appropriately integrate quotations. The Purdue OWL has a YouTube channel with 5 videos covering MLA and APA. And then, of course, we have citation machines. I want to first throw out a little disclaimer about the citation machines. First, computers are not perfect. Citation machines will not help you with general formatting of your paper. The citation machine will not help you know how to create a hanging indent. It will not check your double spacing or your indentation. It will not double check your headers. This is not the purpose of the citation machine. They're also not going to teach you how to properly integrate quotes, meaning, when we include direct quotes in our papers, we don't just throw the quote in at the beginning or end of a paragraph. We set it up with important information such as who said it and where it was said. The citation machine is not going to show you how to properly integrate quotes. However, when it comes to knowing what needs to be in the parentheses in text and what information needs to be included at the end of text in your works cited page, citation machines can be a great tool for you. And there's links there to 2 different citation tools that really make this so easy that there's absolutely no reason not to cite your sources. So, of course, it's going to be easy. Of course, we've provided you with lots of resources. So as you have questions, please, please, please use your resources. And then, of course, I invite you to post your questions to our Q&A. And, of course, contact me if you have any questions about any of this. And I sincerely hope that this helps.